Kamaru, Usman and Buckley have officially made weight, which means the UFC Atlanta main event is on. Fans were buzzing with excitement, but that's just the beginning of all the MMA drama today.
Weight 171 pounds for Kamaru Usman. Official weight 171 pounds for Joaquin Buckley.
After Kayla Harrison beat Juliana Pena and claimed the UFC bantamweight title, she wasted no time and called out the legend Amanda Nunes. That was bold. But the very next day, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson gave his honest opinion. He didn't hold back. He said Kayla should just retire and that Amanda would beat her easily. Kayla didn't stay silent. In an interview with MMA Junkie, she clapped back. Everyone's allowed to have their opinion, she said. He gets paid to share his thoughts, so fair play to him, but I live my life in the open. People are always going to talk about my choices. She went deeper and said, I believe in myself, and I think it's okay for people to believe in themselves too. How dare you tell me to think less of myself? I'm the greatest, and I'll prove it. She admitted she'd never even met Demetrious, but she's been a fan of his for years. He used to be my GOAT, she added. But whatever. What people think of me, that's their business. Kamaru Usman also spoke up and gave a surprising update. He's no longer interested in fighting Belal Muhammad. Then there's Mike Perry, who gave us a wild behind-the-scenes look into his sparring session with none other than Sean Strickland.
And I don't know if you saw, but Belal Muhammad, after he lost his belt, he said there's a lot of interest in fighting you. And is he in your plan to get back to the world title?
Now here's the thing: is when Belal Muhammad was champion, there was a reason to fight Belal Muhammad, right? He had a title. Let's be honest here. We're not the best of friends, but I don't wish him any bad. But what do you have to offer me? You gonna give me a side deal? You gonna throw me a little extra cash on the side? If he's willing to do that, maybe, but who knows?
Yeah. So the bad blood between you two doesn't give you any.
There was never bad blood. Like that was never really the case. Like, if you really look at the history of, you look at myself and Colby Covington, that rivalry, but there was a story, there was things that are lined up there. With Belal, no, it's just a guy that was in a division that did well, eventually became champion, and then once he became champion, then you really start to kind of hear his voice a little bit more, and at times it was a little bit annoying, and that was pretty much it. But there's no necessarily bad blood between me and Belal. You know, I wish him well. If he's champion, or if I'm champion, I'm sure he's going to want to fight me. If he's champion, I'm going to want to compete against him.
In an interview with MMAfighting.com, Perry explained how it all went down. He said, we talked about it a few times and I made the effort to make it happen. I flew to Vegas because Sean's a big name. I messaged him, gave him my number, and he hit me up. He's actually a cool guy. Sean even tried to get me to ride dirt bikes and shoot guns in the Vegas desert, but I didn't have time for that. Instead, Perry went to the gym. They said sparring starts at 10 o'clock a.m. I showed up, warmed up, and did a round with someone before jumping in with Sean. Let me tell you, Sean's a big dude, at least 35 pounds heavier than me, but Perry wasn't intimidated. It was great to feel his style and power, he said. I had to use that platinum pressure just to get close. Sean's super defensive. Blocking his shots made me super tired. We were at elevation in Vegas, and I wasn't even prepared. But I did it, a full 5-minute round with Sean.
And everyone, so I had fight news to announce the other day to everyone, well, basically this week. Basically, Nate Diaz called the fight on with me. He wanted to fight me on the 2nd of August. He called the weight, he called everything on, and obviously I accepted. I got straight into camp on Monday. Now he's pulled out of the fight. Carl Frock said on his YouTube channel about 2 weeks ago that he only needs 4 weeks training to fight me, but now he's saying he only wants to fight me next year. He'll only be ready next year. Tyron Woodley said he'd be interested, but not right now, even though he beat me in the UFC. Masvidal said he's not interested. Masvidal's priced himself out. Mike Perry's priced himself out, even though Mike Perry offered me 350 grand to fight on his promotion. Mike Perry's priced himself out by 5 times that. So like, I'm basically ready to go in August now against any one of yous, but yous are all giving out excuses, this, that, even though 2 of yous have beat me. And like, Nate Diaz is the one that...
Perry also warned the haters in the comments, if I took punches that clean off the forehead, most of you would be out cold. I wanted to give the fans something real. Imagine if I had the cardio to go 3 full rounds with him. That pressure would make anyone look for a way out. he ended his story with a bang. Sean will put you out.
By the way, there's this young cat, sort of young, John Silva, who's making some noise.
Oh yeah, he's tough. I told his coach after he won against Bryce, I saw him in the back room. I said, just tell him not to call me out.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like they're gonna try to make you versus John Silva.
Like,
why do I feel like they're gonna?
Tell John not to call me out.
Guy's
Like,
a
I like this
crazy
guy.
mofo.
I don't wanna fight him right now.
Yes.
I can fight him. I just don't want to fight him right now. Like, I'm on a different trajectory right now. I want to do something different. He's on a different trajectory. He was like, you do your thing, I do my thing, and eventually we'll meet up. But right now, it's like, I don't want those problems right now. I'm like, and I'm just being honest. That's a tough cat to fight.
And guess what? So will I. Don't hate. I'm out here elevating people.
Always love to see the type of energy that fighters give other people and to see if they will give to me. And with Kamaru Usman, you know, I feel like a lot of fights that, you know, he had and a lot of opponents that, you know, he would go back and forth with, whether that's Masvidal, whether that's Leon, whether that's Colby Covington himself, you know, he was quiet with me, right? And I seen, you know, not about his body language, but just his demeanor. Him taking in a deep breath before he seen me. Like, little details like that mean a lot to me, right? Because he know the person that he's finna deal with in front of him is about to give him that action. And, you know, I just can't wait because I'm already knowing with that type of energy, even though you might be nervous or you might be, I wouldn't even say frightened, right? But worried about what's in front of you, you're gonna be locked in. And those are the fighters to watch out for at the end of the day.
Then Darren Till dropped a little gossip bomb. He said Nate Diaz once pulled out of a fight with him. He also claimed Tyron Woodley wasn't interested in fighting him, and Jorge Masvidal and Mike Perry.
Gifted the way he was, and you start to believe in it, and then you really have to fight somebody. It's a major problem. Like when I get my guys coming up, even like in the Ring of Combat back in the day, they all had tough fights. They weren't going to get to the UFC without a tough fight. Who the hell wants that? Then you find out, you know, at the wrong time. You know what I mean? You want to find out before they make that big walk. And O'Malley obviously is super talented, but they did give him guys that are just going to stand in front of him, that worry grapplers, that play into his game. And now, okay, now you got a guy who's his wrestling, his MMA wrestling is just off the charts. And now what do? You're going to correct that in a couple of months, or you think you're going to bring Israel out of Sonya? Not to knock Israel, but you know, like you're starting to do things that appear to make you look better, but they're not doing anything. There was an easy recipe for him. I don't know if they followed it, but you know, that's the issue. I think that he was given certain things that just they're not making you better. They might be making people money, but are you growing as a fighter? Is each fight testing you in a different area that you weren't tested before? I mean, look at the guys like Barak. Even though O'Malley's striking is very different, he did have to go in there with Jose Aldo. You know what I mean? And, you know, look, Barak didn't get Jose Aldo down. You know, he beat him against the cage, but, you know, so it's not like he's unstoppable. You can't stop him. There's guys that have stopped his takedowns. They just can't do anything else that moves the plan.
Price themselves out. Meanwhile, Aljamain Sterling says he's not interested in fighting Gene Silva anytime soon. He admitted Silva would be a tough challenge, and maybe too much at the moment. And there was even more energy in the air earlier this week when Buckley and Kamaru Usman faced off. Buckley said he could feel something different about Usman, like a silent tension building. Ray Longo then shared some strong thoughts about Sean Ali's title path. He believes Ali had it too easy. After Ali's second loss to Merab Dvalishvili, Longo said it's obvious now that Ali was never really tested properly before getting a shot at the belt. Gilbert Burns is standing firmly behind his friend and former opponent Kamaru Usman. Burns hopes Usman wins against Buckley, even though they fought back in 2021.
I hope. I want Kamaru to win.
Yeah.
Guy was at the gym, he was looking very good. And at the gym, we had one of the guys that is mashed. Buckley, for sure, back in the days, a long time was about to. Logan Storley just out wrestle him, ground and pound him.
Yeah.
He showed Kamaru the way. You know, I think Kamaru has to mix it up. I think he was the best at his time when he was mix it up, not just striking, not like. I kind of called that he was going to lose to Leon. He wasn't, at that time, he wasn't wrestling anymore.
Yeah.
He just stand up with Leon's. I knew it was going to be hard, but whenever he mix it up, sometimes you wrestle not just to wrestle just to make this guy think about it.
So you can strike better.
And then strike better, get loose. If the shots that take this guy down, make this guy tired. Buckley's very muscular, very strong.
Yeah.
If he left Buckley out of pressure, Buckley stop putting pressure. If he lose, Buckley is very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
So I think the way to Kamaru is put pressure, and I hope he wins. And I think he can. We're gonna see that.
You think he's the right side at plus 235 as an underdog though?
Plus 2.
It's a good number. Yeah.
It's a good number.
Who's harder to take down? Do you think Buckley or Edwards?
Yeah, but these guys fought so many times.
Yeah.
Fought 3 times. Kamaru kind of took him down, dominated him in the first fight, and then got knocked out in the second fight. He was dominating too, and then lost the third fight. So it's hard, you know. Those guys fought how many rounds? 3, 5. Yeah. These guys fought like 13 rounds, so they know each other, you know.
Yeah.
But I think Buckley's a little harder to take him down, but it's different. Yeah, Buckley's southpaw too, so.
Yeah, that's true.
Leon southpaw, Buckley southpaw. But Kamaru did good at a lot of southpaws. With Damian Maia, remember who else was a southpaw? Hamza was an orthodox. Kobe was a southpaw. He did good against Kobe. I think Kamaru wins, and I hope he wins.
Yeah. And Usman got the TKO in round 3. They've stayed good friends and training partners since then. Now here comes Justin Gaethje with some heavy words. He's officially done fighting just for fun. He revealed the UFC came to him and basically begged him to take the Max Holloway fight for UFC 300. Gaethje said, "They begged me to fight Max Holloway at UFC 300. I see that fight as just an exhibition. Yeah, the loss is on my record, but it had nothing to do with rankings." It's frustrated because during that time, Dustin Poirier, who Justin had just beaten, got a good win and immediately fought for the belt. I beat Poirier. The champ was even saying he wanted to fight me. They could have made it happen. But instead, the UFC gave the fight to someone else, and now Charles Oliveira, who's 2 in his last 4 and already lost to Islam, is fighting for the title again. Justin's not holding back anymore. Unless they pay me a lot more money, I'm not fighting anyone just to fill a card. Then came the bombshell from Ilia Topuria. He went off on Paddy Pimblett. Ilia didn't mince words. He said he hates Paddy and called him a pain in the ass. He's a hypocrite, Ilia snapped. I remember we were once at a press conference and Paddy mocked me for being on the prelims while he was on the main card. Ilia said things have changed now. I've got 2 belts. Where is he now? Who the scoreless scores is Paddy Pimblett right now? Why would he deserve to fight me? But despite the disrespect, Ilia said if he could choose one opponent, he'd fight Paddy. I would fight him because I hate him. He's a pain in the ass. And the fans deserve to see 2 people who actually want to fight each other. Ilia promised one thing. It won't be good for him. I already know how it's going to end. And that wraps up today's roller coaster of news in the fight world. So much drama, so much emotion, and way too many wild statements to process in one go. Buckle up, because UFC Atlanta is just the beginning of the chaos. Thanks for watching.